Hello everyone, today we're making a new video and once again we'll be creating a screener, but this one will be a bit unusual. It will mostly reflect my idea of observing crowd behavior in the market. In other words, we'll be tracking liquidations of course, across all pairs on the Bybit exchanges, well as monitoring open interest, funding, and naturally the price. We'll be analyzing all four of these factors and observing where the crowd is right now, what they're doing, and if they've been liquidated. We'll simply analyze that and determine where it's best for us to enter or exit. So once again, this won't be some kind of universal screener that tells you when to buy or sell. It's more of a screener that helps us understand what's happening with a particular coin or in the market and assists us in making a decision at the current moment. We also already have a funding screener, and there's also a screener. All these screeners are available in the Telegram channel, so check it out, there are pinned messages there. Also, if you need help implementing any project related to trading or artificial intelligence, you can contact me on Telegram and my team and I will help you bring such a project to life. And the foundation we'll need today is WebSocket Stream. What is a WebSocket? It's a direct connection, meaning it allows you to receive specific information in real time. If you want to be able to implement such trading algorithms completely on your own, I offer individual training. For more information about the training, you can also contact me on Telegram. All the details are available on my Telegram channel. You can ask any questions via direct message. If you have any personal requests regarding the training, we can discuss those as well. And we take it completely from scratch to independently implementing such algorithms. In the WebSocket ticker, we will need information about the current price, last price, or you can also get it from mark price. We will need the funding rate, that is the funding rate, as well as the open interest. We will receive these three parameters from the WebSocket ticker. We will also need a WebSocket connection to all liquidations, meaning to all liquidations. We will be receiving all liquidations across all trading pairs. And the idea is that we will record liquidations per minute. For example, in 1 minute, a certain amount in thousands of dollars was liquidated, and we look at the total sum of all liquidations over the past several minutes. But again, I want to emphasize that this is my concept of how it can be implemented and how it should theoretically work. And in practice, we'll see what the result will be. Basically, these two streams are all we need. We don't really need anything else. Let's move on to the code. To write the code, I'll be using a project pattern that I developed myself in the video about funding. I'll leave a reference here so that if you're interested, you can go and check it out, especially if you're also interested in the coding part. But I'll just add a couple of modifications to make it much faster. We copy all the liquidations and simply add all liquidations to the code here. We'll make a list by simply adding streams and streams, liquidity to combine them into one list and pass all the streams to our WebSocket. In the on, the message function will distribute all the information we receive. And now we need to separate these two streams. That is, we'll have a ticker stream and a null liquidation stream. Let's try to just print them out and see what they look like. So basically, we're getting spam from the ticker stream. So let's turn off the ticker stream and display only the liquidations. We've received a couple of messages, so let's process them. So if we don't have all liquidations in the stream name, we process it as a ticker, just like a ticker stream. In any other case, we'll process it as all liquidations. We'll do the same for the data key. And since our data contains a list, and inside the list are dictionaries, we'll go through each element of this list, because for example, we might receive several liquidations in a single message. In the liquidation message, we also see the key S, which shows us the trader's position direction at the time of their liquidation. So if we receive buy, it means the trader who was in a long position was liquidated. The key V contains the number of coins for which the trader was liquidated. And the key P is the liquidation price. Let's add all these keys to the code and convert our coins and price into dollars, that is, into the dollar amount, rather than coins, so that we have a universal value. And now we need to record the liquidation value in a dictionary. So let's create a dictionary and sort the data, specifically the liquidations, into our dictionary. And that's it, everything is ready. Now we add all the values to the liquidation dictionary. Now let's create a sorting function for the data in our liquidation dictionary. And here we take the current time so that we can record liquidations by the current hour and minute. We also check if the current time already exists to avoid a key error. And if everything is in place, we add the USDT amount to our key. That is, we sum up the liquidations. I forgot to add support so that we record specifically for the trading pair and indicate the liquidation direction. Let's fix that now. Let's also specify here all the keys needed for our dictionary. I've created a separate function where we'll go through all the hours and minutes. Specifically, we create a key for each hour and minute so that we can simply record the data there later. So now we have a function that will create the keys. Let's print it out just to see what it looks like. Here we sort all our liquidations, and we'll have a separate function that will look at all the values, funding, liquidations, and so on, and analyze them for the current situation on a specific coin. We'll just do this in a separate loop, separating it, so to speak, as an asynchronous process. Again, if you don't understand any part of what's happening here in the code, let me remind you that I also offer individual training completely from scratch, where we learn the basics of the market, programming, and then move on to independently writing similar projects. So feel free to contact me on Telegram and we can discuss all the details. Now, let's also add the latest price. We'll also take it as the mark price from the ticker stream, and let's add a new key to our fundings dictionary. We'll simply record the price there. So now we have the price, we have liquidations, we have funding, and all that's left is open interest. We'll also take that from the current ticker's open interest tree. Similarly, let's add open interest here when forming our fundings dictionary. And let's also rename it, because it's not just fundings anymore, but information about the tickers. So we've renamed it to tickers, data, and now everywhere we'll have tickers, data instead of funding. Alright, now we can write our functional separate asynchronous process that will sort and analyze the situation for all coins. For now, we'll just update our functions to make sure everything is properly cleared. Here we'll have a function that will clean up outdated liquidation data for each key and each pair. The function that analyzes the date will look something like this. We'll also adjust the signals here. But the point is that it will simply iterate through all the values. We'll go over this in more detail in a moment. I made a slight update to the function with the keys for liquidations, because I remember that our open interest just returns a number. And to compare, we need to record the open interest every minute. Accordingly, we already have such keys for liquidation. And now I just added open interest to each minute as well. So from here we can remove it and, for example, move our dictionary with liquidations to the ticker's data dictionary in the exchange info file. Let's move it. Done. Also, let's add the settings for all the values, all the situations that our screener can display, so that we can compare and conveniently change these settings. We'll write them in a separate settings file, import them, and set them up. And the final function for analysis will look something like this. Here we have all the situations described, and we'll go through them as well. Here is the entire analysis of coins, situations, and data. Now we'll also see how it all works. For the most part, that's it. Now we'll be testing, making adjustments, and checking to make sure everything works correctly. I don't think I'll show all the changes there. I suppose there will be some minor bugs. So now I'll just bring it to a working state, see how it works, and show you. Alright, let's get back to the tests. Let's first look at the conditions under which we receive signals, and then analyze the signals we've received. So the conditions I've added are that our current funding is greater than the set parameter. If the change in open interest is also greater than the set parameter, and the sum of long liquidations is less than the minimum liquidation setting. So here are our settings, just in case. That's it. And then we send the signal that a dump is possible, the crowd is vulnerable, the crowd is in longs, as we write. Next comes the signal for a short squeeze. These are just superficial names, it doesn't necessarily work exactly like this. The screener also needs to be configured. And for now, these are just test settings. Here, our condition is that the sum of short liquidations must be greater than the liquidation high setting, up to 50,000. The change in open interest here must be less than our setting, that is -2. The next condition is that the current funding is less than our setting. The change in open interest is greater than 3 in open interest, that is 2. Also liquidations. The sum of short liquidations is less than the minimum liquidation value of 20,000. Then we say that the crowd is in shorts. The next condition is that the sum of long liquidations is greater than the liquidation high. That's 50,000, which is a wipeout of long traders, so we give a signal. The change in open interest is less than our setting, -2. Next comes the signal that the market is overheated in longs. We check if the funding is greater than our setting. Open interest, the change in open interest is greater than our setting multiplied by 2, and long liquidations are 0. There are 2 signals left. The next signal is position accumulation. We look at the change in open interest, regardless of which direction it changed, and it is greater than our setting. Long liquidations are 0, short liquidations are also 0, and the funding is less than the neutral zone. Our setting is 0.01, that is 1%. And the last signal is panic in the market. The crowd has been liquidated. A reversal is coming soon. So, according to the conditions, here the sum of long liquidations is greater than the maximum liquidations set in our settings. Short liquidations amount to more than the maximum setting as well. The change in open interest is less than the maximum setting for open interest change. Basically, that's all. Those are all our conditions. And again, let me repeat. This was just an idea. All the settings are more for testing than for actual trading. And here, it's important to understand what we're configuring and what we want to see, and specifically for whose trading style, right? So, if you see that this screener could be useful for your trading, if you know how to set it up or at least have an idea of how it might be helpful, then give it 50 likes and 50 comments. Just like with the previous screeners, I provide support for users. Here, most of the signals were for position accumulation. Later, I added the display of the data that triggered these signals. One interesting thing I noticed, for example, was accumulation in short swing saw such movements. The coin power USDT had a signal at 1801, and that was right here. So it was on this candle that we received the signal. After that, there was a 3% move. These are 1-minute candles, by the way, so basically the price moved up by 3%. Again, with the current settings, everything is in place. Next, the Pendix coin also had a signal at 1801. So the signal was here. After that, there wasn't such a sharp move down, but as you can see, at the peak it was almost 5%, and currently it's about minus 2%. Again, I want to emphasize an important point. The screener is not some kind of magic tool that tells you to short. You open a short and you make money from it. Absolutely not. If you don't know how to trade, then most likely screeners won't really help you. That is, if you know how to trade, you have a strategy, you understand how you trade and what strategy you follow, then screeners can help you spot certain situations in the market that you simply can't catch with your own eyes, because there are just too many pairs. And thanks to the screener, you can track certain situations in the market. And specifically, the current screener, which takes into account funding, liquidation, open interest, and price, can help you track certain situations that fit your trading style. Next, I've already set it up so that the information that comes in the signal is displayed. And the main thing you can notice when positions are accumulating, as it says, is that we only get, well, the funding and open interest taken into account. So in general, you can sum up such signals as open interest screener signals, that is, we simply take into account funding and open interest. Essentially, it's the same open interest screener, which by the way we don't have. I don't know if it's worth making one. By the way, you can write in the comments which screener you would like to see. If a particular screener comes up frequently in the comments, I'll go ahead and implement that one specifically. For example, we see that the crowd is in shorts, we see a change in open interest, funding is negative, and we don't see any liquidations yet. And the signal was right here. So the screener indicates that a possible liquidation of those who are shorting is likely, and the market will go up, liquidating them in the process. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to happen this way, because there were previous signals I observed where the market didn't always go up. Once again, it all depends on the settings you choose. I don't have any particular trading strategy that I follow. I write trading algorithms, so I can't really pick any specific settings for myself. So you can also suggest which settings are worth trying. I would look at the signals, analyze them, and maybe post in the Telegram channel about how effective they are and what they might indicate. I also wanted to check why we don't have any signals related to liquidations. So I launched it, and I'm looking at the current liquidations, which are shown here in dollars on the ETH USDT pair Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency. There are quite few liquidations, so it seems the market isn't particularly active for liquidations right now. That's why I think all these settings need to be adjusted for a specific strategy, or at least we should know what exactly we want to track, like liquidations and their quantity. So I'm interested to hear what you think about the current screener, how it can be configured, and what it can be used for. In any case, having information on open interest, funding, liquidations, and current price changes is all quite important, and I think this can definitely be used in trading strategies. You just need to understand what you're configuring it for, so just share your opinion. How would you use this? What settings would you choose? And also remember, if you want to learn how to implement such trading algorithms, test your strategies, or write trading bots, I offer one-on-one training completely from scratch. You can contact me on Telegram. Currently, the training is conducted entirely individually, which is much more effective for your learning. We can take any of your preferences into account, discuss them, and help you achieve your goals. Also, if you need help developing a project, or if you have a strategy that needs to be automated, you can reach out to me as well, and my team and I will help you bring your project to life. As I mentioned earlier, if we get 50 likes and comments, any comments at all, I will provide support for users. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye, everyone.